Hello everybody, and welcome to this informed consent webinar for a research project by me, Rachel Gill, entitled Feasibility of a Peer-Delivered Dialectical Behavior Therapy Skills Training Massive Open Online Course for Emotion Dysregulation. Now, if you are watching this, then you hopefully have received an invitation to join the research. If you have not received an invitation, then this webinar does not apply to you. You can watch it and fill out the informed consent if you want, but you're not going to be able to be in the study because I have a checklist of all the people that are invited, and then we mark it off of that. So if you weren't invited, I apologize, and look for a free open version of the program that we're researching after December 1st. And to get the links, you can go to ilovedbt.com after December 1st to get the links to the public one, if you weren't invited. If you were invited, we're going to go over the entire informed consent to participate in research form so that you can have an understanding of what the research is about, and so that you can also be informed before you give your consent to participate. Now, to open up and submit this form, sign this form and submit it, you need to download Adobe Reader for free at the Adobe website. So you need that to be able to open it up and sign it. And you'll see this button that says Submit Form, which sends it to my email address. You won't be able to submit that form until you sign or you initial on page 8 right here. Like, so mine would be like RG. Oops. So I'd be like RG. And then on the signature page, you have to type your name and your date. But you're going to do that after you go through. And you want to check mark all of these, that you make sure that you read each one of those. But we're going to start at the beginning of the page. So, provided that you have your Adobe Reader, you've opened this up in your Adobe Reader, let's start at the beginning. So you have been invited to participate in an academic study conducted by Rachel Gill, who's a student at Linfield College, by Dr. Scott Vandehey and Dr. Tanya Tompkins, who are Linfield College professors, and Dr. Andrew White, who's a clinical psychologist and DBT researcher. An informed consent webinar shall provide you an opportunity to review this document in detail with the primary researcher, learn more about the experimental DBT-ST MOOC, which is short for Dialectical Behavioral Skills Training Massive Open Online Course, purpose and structure, and provide you the opportunity to ask questions and make an informed decision to participate or not participate in the study. So if you have any questions about this informed consent before you sign it, go ahead and email me at rachelgill@rgill@linfield.edu, and I will get back to you as soon as possible to answer any questions you may have that are not answered by this. And these are the contact information. This is the contact information for all the researchers. I'm the primary researcher. This is my thesis advisor, and this is also a thesis advisor and my clinical advisor. The peer administrators are just 4 moderators, and that's these 2 people. And the purpose of this study is to determine whether it is feasible to offer dialectical behavior therapy skills training as a peer-delivered massive open online course. Okay, come on here. Okay, the purpose of this study is to determine whether it is feasible to offer dialectical behavior therapy skills training as a peer-delivered massive open online course, or DBT-ST MOOC, for the reduction of difficulties with emotion regulation. Results from the study may add to our knowledge of dialectical behavior therapy. Now, half of those accepted into the study shall be assigned to the experimental DBT-ST MOOC. The other half shall be assigned to a waitlist control group. Both groups will be assessed before the experimental group starts and at the end of the experiment. The assessment measure used for both the experimental and waitlist groups will be the difficulties in emotion regulation scale. Those who are on the waitlist control group will have the option to participate in the DBT-ST MOOC after the study is complete. Research participant task details. Now, task participants in both groups may complete and attend an informed consent webinar prior to admission into the study, sign the informed consent to participate in the study, fill out the 34-item DERS survey at the beginning of the study, and fill out the DERS survey at the completion of the study. So if you're in the study, no matter which group you're in, you're going to do these 4 things right here. Now, if you're just in the experimental group, then you're going to have a few more things to do. So you're going to also, in addition to the 4 items we just discussed, you're going to also participate in the 6-week DBT-ST MOOC and learn and practice 4 sets of DBT skills. You're going to sign in with an assigned username and password at this link, and you're going to learn what DBT skills are through watching skills training videos, practice skills through focused DBT group skills discussion forums, and test your knowledge with multiple choice quizzes for each DBT skill set. Now, you will get, once you return your informed consent, you will receive, after I receive your informed consent, I'll send you back an email with a link to the DERS and your username and password. Now, if you're just on the control group, you'll just have a username. If you're in the experimental group, you have a username and password. But I'll send you an email with your username and stuff after I get your signed informed consent. So here's an overview of the schedule if you're in the experimental group. The average expected time per session will be 5 hours a week for a total of 6 weeks or 30 hours worth of training. So week 1, orientation, and see, you can kind of read through these yourself. We don't need to go through every single thing, but you get the idea. So look at the weeks and the skills you'll be learning. Now, if you're just in the waitlist control group, then the total amount of time you'll be expected to spend on the study would be about 10 to 30 minutes. So those selected for the waitlist control group shall spend approximately 10 to 30 minutes filling out assessment measures previously described in 2 sessions. So that would be the DERS measures, the difficulties in emotion regulation scale. Session 1 assessments shall be administered before the experimental group starts. So after I get your informed consent, if you are randomly assigned to the waitlist control, I'll send you your research ID number and then a link to the DERS, and then you'll just fill that out. And then after the study, in 6 weeks, I'll send you another email and then with the link to the DERS, and then you'll just fill it out again, which you don't have to, but I'd really appreciate it because then it helps the research. And you'll still get a chance to join the skills training group after December 1st when the study's over. So you'll still get to use the program after the study's done, if you want to. Now, considering risks and benefits. Potential risks. There are some foreseeable risks of participation. It is possible that filling out the questionnaires may cause anxiety or you to worry about aspects of your life that are related to the questionnaire that asks about qualities of your emotional responses. You may decline to answer any questions or sections of the questionnaires that cause you discomfort. Furthermore, you may discontinue your participation in the study at any time for any reason without consequence. Your well-being supersedes the needs of the study. Therefore, you are not obligated to participate, commit to the study, or do anything you do not want to if you choose to participate. Possible benefits. Your participation in the waitlist control group is a valuable and appreciated contribution to the science of dialectical behavior therapy. Furthermore, once the study is complete, waitlist control participants have the option of completing the skills training course afterwards, just as those in the experimental group. There are no other significant benefits to participating. Now, important. Peer administrators' role in the DBT-ST MOOC. Please be aware that peer administrators moderating the DBT-ST MOOC are not trained therapists or certified peer support specialists. They're simply peer supporters who, over the past several months, have been assisting the primary researcher, me, in moderating an informal online DBT skills peer support group that currently has over 4,000 members and represents over 16 countries. The PAs participating in this course are experienced in managing the day-to-day interactions of the said group, and they participate in a DBT-informed consultation meeting for about 1 to 2 hours a week, utilizing text-based chat. The function of the consultation meeting is to prevent peer mentor burnout, strengthen adherence to the DBT model, provide a space to troubleshoot peer mentoring strategies through skills review, role-playing, group policy reviews, updates, facilitate team building exercises, and to present DBT-related information, resources, and learning materials. The primary function of the peer administrators in the DBT-ST MOOC is less involved than in the said group that we described. They co-admin, and consists primarily of modeling DBT skills in the group forums and moderating group discussions when necessary, by sharing their own stories and experiences with DBT skills to convey a message of hope, acceptance, and power to change. Peer administrators are not qualified to provide or discuss participants' mental health diagnoses. They're not qualified to provide DBT skills coaching, one-on-one private chats, phone calls, suicide crisis management, or advice related to psychiatric medications. Most importantly, please note that peer support is not equal to professionally qualified mental health services. Now let's talk about crisis support. If you decide to participate in the study, it is wise to contact your therapist as soon as possible to inform them of your participation in the study and ask if he or she will help you create a crisis plan that you may refer in the event if you feel suicidal, unsafe, or need crisis support that peer administrators are not qualified to provide. Alternatively, you may create a crisis plan using the fillable form on the last page of this document, which is bing right here. Now, if you need help immediately and want to talk with a trained crisis worker, you may call the National Suicide Hotline at 1-800-273-TALK, or if you prefer, you may utilize their newly implemented text-based chat. And if you click on this, it'll take you to their chat. The National Suicide Hotline has people available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Your call is confidential and free. Another option you have is to contact Dr. White, who is my advisor, at white@pdbti.org or 503-290-3281. Dr. White is a licensed clinical psychologist in the state of Oregon and clinical advisor to this research project. In the event of a crisis, he may provide a brief phone consultation and or provide you an appropriate referral to professional mental health services. Return calls may take up to 24 or 48 hours. Finally, if you feel that you're at imminent risk of harm or death, call emergency responders at 911. The states differ in their rules on psychiatric holds, but generally a call to 911 for mental health crises results in a 72-hour period of hospitalization where you will receive emergency medical attention and be placed under observation. To cope ahead, it is wise to familiarize yourself with the specific mental health laws in your state by visiting the following link right here, ding, to find your county mental health agency and calling the information line. This way you may weigh pros and cons of psychiatric commitment ahead of time while you are in a wise frame of mind. Let's go on to page 5. And so page 5 and page 6 are just all kinds of different crisis hotlines for all kinds of different situations, just for your information, that you can call if you need to at any time. Now let's get on to rights of research participants. You may withdraw your consent to participate at any time and discontinue your involvement in the study without penalty. You may decide what, if any, level of participation you engage in. Your well-being is more important than the research, so you have no obligations to participate. If you wish to contact an impartial third party not associated with the study regarding any question or complaint you have about the study, you may contact Linfield College Interim IRB Chair Dr. Jana Weisberg at weisber@linfield.edu, and you can click on her address and it'll go to your email client. or you can call her at 503-883-2724, and she can assist you. Now, confidentiality procedures. After receiving the electronically signed informed consent forms from participants accepting invitation to participate in the research, the primary researcher shall back up the digital files to a single CD-ROM as well as print hard copies. Both the CD-ROM and the paper copies shall be filed inside a single locked box that shall be locked in the primary researcher's home office. Only the primary researcher will have immediate access to the documents. The assessment data shall use a participant code number in place of personally identifying information that will be randomly assigned by the primary researcher after receiving completed informed consent forms from those affirming participation in the study. So the numbers of assignment, or your usernames, shall be kept on record with the signed informed consent forms, so there's a means to track individual data should participants wish to review it as a part of debriefing. Data measurements and information shall be retained only as long as necessary to analyze and compile findings into a cohesive academic paper. For purposes of assurance, the data shall be collected and shall not be retained past, I need to change this date. That will be December 1st, 2015 at the very latest. And when you get this updated, this will say December 1st. Okay. After analysis, the data shall be destroyed using a data destruction method that meets U.S. Department of Defense standards for securely deleting digital information. To further protect identifying information, codes shall be used on the questionnaires to track data instead of true names. So when you get the DERS survey, use your username that I send you in the email when you fill out the DERS, because it's an online form, but since you'll just be using your participant ID that you'll be getting in the email with the link, there'll be no way for anybody to tell who you are as far as, your personal information. Okay, so now this is page 8, and you have to get you have to type your initials here before I can accept your informed consent. And this initial indicates that an important note on confidentiality, which is that while every available precaution shall be taken to secure participants' confidential information, like encryption methods, password protections, coding data, and maintaining strict firewall controls, because the program and information is utilized in a web-based environment, data security cannot be 100% guaranteed. Therefore, potential participants may attest to the fact that they are aware of and accept this risk by typing first and last initial in the following box. So, type your initial here to indicate that you are aware of the confidentiality risks associated with internet communication, are still interested in participating in the study. So type your beep boop, call that good. Now on page 9, you'll see my crisis plan. Now you don't have to fill this out if you don't want to. It's more for you to fill out with your therapist if you want to, print it out and keep it. But for the purposes of the informed consent, you don't have to fill this part out. That's mostly just for you if you want to. I encourage you to, but you don't have to. Now, the next page you do have to fill out is page 10. Now, on page 10, you need to verify your consent to participate in the research by checking off that you assure that you are at least 18 years old, assure that you're not currently suicidal or actively engaging in self-harm, assure that the personal information you're providing is true and your own, assure that you have access to a therapist if needed during the duration of the study, you understand that you are a volunteer and may choose to leave the study at any time, and you understand this program is experimental and not meant to substitute therapy. You know who to contact if you have questions about your participation in the study, and you understand what resources are available to you in the event of a crisis. Now, to complete your verification, you want to type in your full name, and then, so, like, we'll use mine, so Rachel Gill, and then the date that you're filling this in, so whoops, 9/20/2015. Okay, so you filled those both out. And then after you've filled both of those out, go back to page 1 and hit the submit form. Now, when you hit the submit form, it will automatically open up whatever your email client is. Or if that doesn't work, then just send me an email and send it as an attachment to rgill, this one right here, rgill@linfield.edu. And so that's only if the submit button doesn't work. But make sure that you have your signature page with your name and your date, and then your initials on page 8, and all of the check marks right here. Okay, so then after you email this to me, I will fill in the date that I receive it right here. I will fill in your participant ID and the date, and I'll save this to the ways that I referred to you on the confidentiality page. And then I will email you back a link to the DERS survey along with your username and your password if you are in the experimental group. So that should do it. So once you have received, let's go over this last part just to be sure. Okay, so once you have digitally signed the informed consent to participate in the research, submit the form to Rachel Gill via email at rgill@linfield.com. After your form is received and processed, usually within 24 to 48 hours, you receive an email with your assigned username, password, a web link to the course sign-in page, a web link to the DERS survey form, and instructions for logging in. Access to the course shall be available starting midnight on September 20th until November 7th, and ending officially at 11:59 on November 7th. So try to get it done before then if you do choose to participate. If you're unable to complete the course, a duplicate version shall be made available to the public for free on coursesites.com starting after December 1st, 2015. The course registration link after that time will be available through the Peer Connections homepage, which is ilovedbt.com. So that should do it. And we look forward to your participation, and thank you for your time. And yes, thank you.